Greetings and welcome. I want to play the game. So, I am counting down to Jigsaw as I get to every single movie in the Saw franchise. So, I'm going to be starting with the first movie. So, with that being said, there's going to be spoilers mentioned in this review. Just so you know. Just so you know, I assume you've seen the movie already, but in case you didn't, there's going to be some spoilers mentioned. So, that is your warning. So, wow. I mean, just thinking back to when I first saw this movie, and it was an independent movie. It was just a small independent movie. Wasn't really necessarily a horror movie per se. It was more of a suspenseful thriller. I mean, there is some horrific shit in here. I mean, there is a little bit of, a little bit of blood there and there, but still, it's more character driven, and it's more character development, and I mean, it doesn't really become a gore fest until the sequels come around. But I mean, yeah, and the thing about this movie, this was back at a time when the horror genre still had was still creative. It still had creativity, and here it was just torture, death traps, and the supposed killer of the movie, Jigsaw. Um, I mean, he doesn't go out on a killing spree. He actually gets a hold of these people who are like these deeply flawed people, puts them in these terrible, terrible situations that you can think of, and sometimes it requires them to do something really terrible in order to get out of it, or they stay there and it's like, okay, then you die, and you have to do something really terrible in order to survive, and that does happen in this movie too, and like as the movie goes along, like with these two strangers who are in this bathroom, like while they're trying to figure out how to get out of there, you're just rooting for them to make it out of there alive unscathed, and and then it starts to toy around with their with like, okay, so I mean, is one of them it's one of them the killer, or is one of them the guy who's behind all of this, or what? Like, you never know, like, because we don't know who he is. And then it does get to a point in the movie where where there is someone who is watching them on the monitors and stuff like that, and thinking back on it, when I first watched it, I'm like, oh, I didn't expect to see his face so soon. And the more times I watch this movie, the more I think to myself, like, how did how did I really think that was Jigsaw? How did I really think that? But then we rewind all the way to the final act of this movie, like to where things are going crazy, and the time is up, and Dr. Gordon thinks his family's being killed, or they're basically in danger, and he's freaking out, and that's when he just decides, fuck this shit. He grabs his saw, and oh my gosh. You know how when there's that one scene where it affects you in a big way, and then when you watch it again, that feeling is not there anymore? Here, no matter how many times I watched this so many times, and it still hits me the same way it did when I first watched this movie, when Dr. Gordon saw his foot off. Like, just saying that out loud, oh my gosh, crazy. and then it gets to where Zep, who is the supposed Jigsaw, gets into the room, and basically, where Adam kills him after we're led to believe that Dr. Gordon killed Adam, and it's just intense, and the acting is superb in this movie. I mean, like, you really feel bad, really feel for these characters, and you really feel like you're in their shoes. For each character that is in the trap, that, has to get out, or if they don't, or if they do, I think to myself, like, wow, I don't know if I could have survived in any of those situations. And, yeah, and it left, you know, the biggest, like, question, like, open, like, at the end, like, when Dr. Gordon crawled out of that room, like, after he cut his foot off, and it's like, okay, so what does this mean? What does this mean? Does this mean he's gonna die, or what happened? And then Adam's there, and then he sees that while he's trying to look for a key on Zep, instead he finds the tape recorder, and then he plays it, and then you hear Jigsaw's voice talking to him, and it's just like, holy fuck. And to make it even more crazy, the dead body in the bathroom rises up, and you're like, what? And then that turns out to be Jigsaw. And in that ending, when he, locks Adam in the bathroom and says game over, and the light turns the light out, and then you hear Adam screaming in horror. That feeling still hits me every time I watch this movie. I mean, like, same thing. That feeling that I felt when that ending happened and the credits were rolling, it did not leave me. I mean, like, it's amazing, like, of how, in over 10 years, this movie still holds up. So, with that all being said, this deserves 4 solid chair spins out of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 solid chair spins. So, feel free to, tell me, like, does the movie still affect you the same way when you first watched it? Man, I mean, I just rewatched it recently, and every time my foot curl, my toes curl, and my foot twitches, and I grab my foot, like, oh my gosh. I mean, the other scenes, like in other traps, but yeah, I mean, yeah, but this one here, when that happens, but yeah, if you guys enjoyed my review on this movie, make sure you thumb up the video, quick subscribe if you're a newbie to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in my review for the second Saw movie as we count down the Jigsaw. So until then, peace out, guys.